Hi there. I'm dropping in today and I'm going to get a little more personal than I usually do. I'm going to share about a recent healthcare diagnosis that I've had and how that came to fruition and my plan. So, little history. I've always been very empowered by health and making healthy choices. And this even started very young for me. I was 11 when I declared vegetarianism because I didn't like the texture of meat. I thought it would be healthier to be a vegetarian. And I also loved animals, and I still do. And then in high school, fitness classes were all the rage. I would do fitness classes in between my dance classes. I would be focused on nutrition. I read all the health magazines, and I remember taking that card out of the back of Shape magazine and sending away for the Vitamixer brochure. This beautiful envelope arrived with these shiny, glossy images and sales pieces for the Vitamixer. And I was sold. I really, really wanted the Vitamixer, but my mom was like, no way, we're not getting a Vitamixer. Well, spoiler alert, luckily I got one for myself after I finished graduate school. So I still have that same Vitamixer and I love it. So anyway, I shared that to tell you that I was sort of an odd duck as a kid, that I was very health focused. But my deep, dark secret is that I wanted to be tan. And I ended up getting tan. I actually ended up working at a tanning salon. I can remember it clear as day. I walked into my local tanning salon with skirt, heels, blouse on, and a resume. And I handed it to the owner and she was like, I have never had anyone show up for a job like this. You've got a job, but you've got to get a tan, honey. I mean, yeah, right? So I got a job there. I got to tan for free. I took full advantage. I loved it because my friends would call me Casper the Friendly Ghost. I think I was probably even more pale back then. I don't know, just because I was younger. So I took full advantage of getting tan. And then once I went away to college, I didn't tan. But after graduate school, before my wedding, I did tan for, 4, 5, 6 months. So then I stopped tanning. I gave it up. And by then I knew, of course, it really wasn't healthy. And it kind of always was in the back of my mind, nagging at me and was a concern. So I really got consistent with going to dermatology exams, skin checks every 6 to 12 months. And I've gone to them for years. And I always confess right away when I have a new doctor that I went to a tanning salon. And so they take that in, they make a note of it, whatever. And the last few years, I've been getting really frustrated with the practice I was in because it's a big practice. They always had doctors coming and going. I never got to see the same doctor more than once. So this past summer, I just got fed up with it. Didn't feel like I was getting consistent care, thorough care. So I advocated for myself. I did some research. I found a different doctor. And the day I was driving there, this doctor is about 45 minutes away. And I thought, oh my goodness, this is taking some time to get there. I really don't have time for this. But when I got there and had the experience, it was like, oh yes, this is worth the drive. I have to take the time to do this. In addition to being one of the most thorough skin checks I've had in a very long time, she really responded in such the amazing way when I gave my confession about all the tanning bed and use and the tanning booth use. And she said, back at that time, that kind of business empowered a lot of women to have a small business, and they really marketed to young women like you. And I was like, oh my goodness, I feel validated. I don't feel judged. I feel seen. This is huge. And this is what I'm always coaching my clients on. Find healthcare providers that hold space for you and validate you. And so I felt like, yes, I was there. And grateful and told myself I will drive out there to see her every 6 to 12 months, whatever it takes, because this was such a better experience and so much more thorough. And in fact, she found a little something that I didn't even notice. It wasn't like a mole or anything on my face. I don't know if you can see it. I really have a hard time finding it. She said, I'm going to biopsy this because this could be a basal cell. And I said, okay. And she said, you'll hear back in 2 weeks or less. So I heard back in a few days and I was like, oh, this probably isn't good. Sure enough, it's a basal cell carcinoma, which is skin cancer, but it's less invasive. It's very slow growing. It doesn't spread to other systems very regularly or very often. It's one of the better kinds to have. And so I felt my heart really sink, like, okay, this is what I've been worried about for years, but let's take care of it. Let's, get going on this. And she referred me to some specialists who do the Mohs surgery, MOHS surgery, because they don't do it at her office. She does not do that. And so I was shocked when I called around and they were just ready to schedule me for the procedure. They weren't going to let me come in for a consult. And I was like, no. I want to have a consult first. If you go to your dentist and you need something from an oral surgeon, you're going to go have a consult before the oral surgery, right? And that's what I want. I want to be able to ask my questions. I like to do my due diligence. I like to know that everything is set up and I feel comfortable, and I need to feel like I have a rapport with this doctor before I let them start cutting on my face, right? So it took a while to find that kind of office, and I found that office, thankfully, and I actually am going later this week for that consult. So I'll share with you more about that. And again, this has always been in the back of my mind. And since I gave up the tanning right after my wedding, I wear the long sleeve sun shirts. I even wear swimwear on the bottom that surfers wear, that are these awesome pants that protect you from the sun, and they're long. We joke that they're like my bloomers. They look just like capri leggings or full leggings, but they're made for water. They're made for sun. I wear big hats. I definitely wear some of the healthier sunscreen. So now I'm like the opposite. I find the shade. I go under an umbrella. I do what I have to do now, which is so different than the tanning salon days. So I kind of always had a worry that this was coming along. And so I'm really working with my nervous system, and I have been since this summer when the diagnosis came up. So I've been doing a lot to work with fear and release shame and to move forward from a clear space. And I'll be sharing in some future videos what I'm doing around that. And I'll also share what I'm doing nutritionally, because even though it's localized cancer in one spot, thankfully it's localized, it's still cancer. And I don't want to feed that cancer. And I can use foods that help to keep it from spreading and to not feed cancer. So I'll be talking about that. I'm also using my small ball, my face ball from the body rolling, and really working on the structure of my face, because even though who knows how big it'll be, and what happens with the Mohs, they go in and they cut, you wait, they do a biopsy, and they keep cutting and going deeper until they get clean edges, clean borders. So I'll be there for a while, which is fine. And what will happen is I will have, the area to heal up, and they'll have stitches, which, by the way, I'm scheduled for the procedure the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, which is fine, but I really want it right before Halloween, because I could have lots of stitches. I could have a few stitches. Who knows? I'm going to have these stitches on my face. And I usually do Halloween costumes that are more, less scary and more like a vegetable or a fruit, kind of fun like that. But this is the year I could do a gory costume. If I had real stitches, why not? Run with it, right? So I'm on a wait list to get in for the procedure earlier, and I'm hopeful that I'll get in. Cross your fingers that I can get in earlier for that. But I'm doing a lot of nervous system regulation to kind of squelch the fear, to work with the fear, to acknowledge it. I'm not really fearful about the needles or the surgery. That doesn't really bother me, but the idea that something that was in the back of my mind did come to fruition. And I don't want to have other spots, and I don't want to have other kinds of skin cancer show up. So I'm working on regulating my nervous system and clearing so that I don't move forward from a place of fear. I don't want to show up for this surgery, this procedure, in a place of fear. I need to be grounded and calm, and I'm going to do that through nervous system regulation. So I'll share more. And I'll share more after this appointment. I'm looking forward to meeting this doctor that is willing to do consults first. I think that's a really positive sign. And I'll share more about the whole process. So thanks for watching this longer video. If you have any questions about it, if you have any comments or any experience yourself, feel free to drop them in the comments below, and stay tuned because I'll be sharing more.